Hello, everyone. I would like to talk about today the importance of revealing the treasures of man. So there is a huge responsibility for you to reveal the treasures of man, mainly because man is a unique point of individual association. What that means is that when the pilot of consciousness begins navigating through different senses of experience and gaining more and cultivating more simultaneous reality confrontation, in other words, you're more able to be aware of your subtler realms just as you're aware of completely the present moment. In other words, the present moment does not just give us complete self-awareness and, in a sense, from a very still seat, show us the dynamics of life and movement. We see that the truth of every big act began from nothing. And so when man looks at where he is, he's the word that's written on a vast empty page. So take the vastness of space as the blank page of the writer. And so the writer knows that after he has put his intent and his effort, and after the tree has given its fruit, its result is made for a greater hand. And so you want to see the work you do in this life be acknowledged by greater collective realities. And so greater collective realities means begin visualizing that men are coming together to understand and explore humanity in greater ways. So in other words, if our race in an instant just became self-aware and compassionate, the human function would develop to a degree that there would be no system of illusion required, but a complete ability to be present. And compassionate means that does not mean you're not getting involved with life. Actually, you do get involved with life. Compassion really shows you how you have hidden treasures from yourself, and these treasures are aspects of your being. And so when man looks to reveal his treasures, he looks at what is aware of man, and then comes the opening to consciousness as origination of existence. And so consciousness can be simply the attention you have on different relationships in your environment. And so once you observe the relationship, you have a greater ability to see meaning from the relationship. And so you see that any ability of depth that you see in any human being has been present there because of the concentration of that human being, because of the focus of a human being to look at ideas beyond ideas. And so you see that the spotlight of attention that we are is very integrative in nature. And so if your work here begins to be ones that are communicating natural human existence and experience, then it is fruitful. In other words, in all self-help works, we need real stories of people who the writer is not writing just with the weight of his pen, but the weight of every experience that has made him inspired to seek that letter or put that letter or word on the page. So now as humanity has his existence in a sense shaped in this space of void, in this void emptiness. In other words, as the human being finds an awareness to recognize the hollowness and the hologram, the way you're acknowledging the projection of reality shifts. It's no longer idea-based. It is a freedom which your emotional intelligence is more navigating upon. And what that means is I recognize that how I feel about something is really based on how concentrated, or in a sense, how real the thing is for me. In other words, if health becomes real for you, you cannot look in the mirror and maintain yourself like this. In other words, what you will see is that when you have clearer information, there is no need for you to continue with misinformation. So the clarity of your information does not actually come from external sources. Boom, it's an internal recognition of who you are and the origin of your being. Because the grass is green once you drive to a new field. Certain realities can change, and what that means is that for the rest of my life I could go watch a plant grow and decay. But what is more important is actually me really observing and cultivating a greater ability to confront infinite change. Become playful with the concept of infinity, and suddenly it will open aspects of your self-reflection that you cannot remain in illusion when you see that there is something beyond the ideology that feels elusive. And so you reveal the treasures of man by recognizing you are a treasure revealer of consciousness. And so it is very important how you're organizing things, because you're believing the things that you organize. What that means is that if you keep your room messy, you're going back to that room. Similarly, in your sense of thought, and if you do not have mindfulness, you can see that you cannot really maintain your ability to clearly see things. You need to have trust in life. And this trust in life comes from your practice comes from your practice of trustworthy action. In other words, you need to begin acting honest. You need to act. When they said fake it to make it, fake honesty, and suddenly see that you don't need to fake it anymore, because you're recognizing where your attention's leading, and it's leading to a more clear view. You see, you don't want to create drama, and even if you've been in drama, it does not mean that you need to continue it. You can. I am saying you can continue being who you are in the sense of the ideas you're associating with, but you can also be the observance of the object of observance. What that means is that you can really see that the reflection in the mirror is not you when you're standing right here. And that is the knowing many get, as there is a shift in focus and in duality, just like how a cameraman's the focus of a camera changes. Similarly, the focus of reality changes based on your existential allowance and your trust in life. So the authenticity of honesty and being an honest being is very important. Being a sincere being is very important. So the pilot of consciousness recognizes that in any multidimensional reality, in any reality he's present in any consideration of form he's present in, he is not destroying it, but he is allowing it to be present. When you see that the presence within you is an allowance, you see that your thoughts are merely not allowed to evolve because you do not have a real experience of how they can evolve. In other words, if I've, for example, never played ping pong, it might be hard for me to think I'm an amazing ping pong player. However, if I've never played ping pong and I have a sense of knowing that I totally know how to move my arms, so my movements might not be ping pong, but I totally know how to, in a sense, create that ability, you see that you really evolve yourself. You really push yourself based on your engagement. In other words, it is better to be called a fool than a smart man who doesn't know. It is better to be a fool than an honest fool than an intellectual who does not trust life. Because it is their trust in life that makes their journey graceful. And the trust in life begins with the trust in self. And so you will see that just like how we have a physical mirror for your house, for you to see your face, for the mirror in regards to self-awareness, to thought and senses of being and states of being, you're actually required to go to nature and utilize nature, every shape, every form, everything, and utilize every image and natural existence as a mirror to reflect, to see where your intelligence is sparked from. Trust me, there are shifts in awareness that transition you. In other words, sometimes you think throughout a certain age of your life that, oh, this is me, I'm caught in these personalities, I've gone these experiences, so I have to be associated with these, Your sense of clarity becomes really apparent when you are allowing co-creation to be so novel and transparent that you are always it. And so navigating through different senses of reality is very important, because through a calm, gentle embrace of life, you can then have the mindfulness to see of not wanting to change things in the realities you can pass through. So in other words, in regards to multidimensional awareness, I am not saying we want to take a different approach. In other words, in regards to dimensions and psychic phenomena, I am taking another approach. I am that guy who's saying, forget every method of how we have approached it. Let's try this new method. What is this method? This method is actually different. It's actually not a method based on external reality. It is actually a form of self-reflective, playful self-awareness and self-remembrance. And what that really means is that your attention is no longer on external things, and you really take it inward, so you begin in very silent and still states of awareness, becoming aware of all the movement that is creating the definitions in it. And as you do, you see that you are not an enlightened being in the sense that you've just had an experience or you've done something. You're an enlightened being because all existence is found within your life. Because you begin to see that you are no longer a man, and that the ape has transcended its dream. And what that means is that man first stepped into idea, and now he's stepping beyond idea. And as man steps beyond ideology, the significance of consciousness is so abstract and omnipresent and co-creative in regards to different aspects of our center, and in regards to an idea which I will very simply just say in regards to how we are placed by the central sun. But the central sun is a talk that will present itself when it wants to. So let me continue playfully to say that the poet's insanity, as you read ancient and sacred hymns, was that he had observed life to treasure it in a greater way. And what that means is that you are a human being. You have had human experience. You have an ability, and human society has developed in a way where you can leave behind your human experience. Now, don't just communicate everything that happens in your life. Observe your life so holistically in a way that you are not ignoring anything, in the sense that you cannot have fear because you have just suddenly walked into every room of your experience. And when you have this collective intention through an individual body, that body is suddenly burst, and just like how an angel's wings opens and there's infinite feathers, and as the feathers spread, similarly you suddenly see when man awakens to higher aspects of his vision, suddenly multidimensional and simultaneous parallel realities come, but realities that are not just based on the creation of one aspect of your mind, in the sense that our mind is present in many ways, as there are many ways that lead to it. And so collective consciousness is one that will require you to have an ability to receive silent teachings that present in the core of your being, similar to how that suddenly you saw that face in the clouds. It was a meaning that was meaningful to you, and you take it because the reason you take it is because it is telling you how to get involved in life. Life is always telling you how to get involved with it. It is your sensitivity and, in a sense, your intention and ability to rise and want to rise. In other words, if you don't want to succeed, if you don't want to have abundance, just go write it down and see why you don't like it. Because understand, man can get caught in certain memories, in the sense that how certain levels of his awareness are weaved are based on different areas of his exploration. What that means is that when you acknowledge yourself as a collective being, you get a multidimensional ability to be present. And in that multidimensional presence, you will see that the only way that could occur is for you having an innate trust. You have such an existential knowing, you have such a trust in your moment of experience as a moment of being, that you allowed life to, just like how an angel's wings again spread, to reveal to you your omniscience. And so that experience of omniscience, and in regards to how the poet is sat down looking at the stars, and the stars glowing in his mind, as memories are starlight, are remembered now, you will see that the treasures that man reveals are actually the treasures that totally beyond itself, for they come from a knowing that knows where man will reach, because they have always reached to him first. In other words, a higher being with a higher understanding understands that to inspire collective consciousness means that existential intelligence is being shared. And so when we stop killing animals, we can truly see the magnificence in how their design is just inspiring ideas. Watching the Discovery Channel and you adjust and you intensify your concentration and you simply enter the world and you are there. And so this ability of confronting self means that you will become as simple as the monk who renounced everything, every thought, ideology, and desire to simply be the true direct experience of life. And so similarly, you need to give yourself an existential allowance by realizing you are that allowance. And so it is okay to be excited by ideas. I mean, don't think ideas are bad. Ideas are tools. And trust me, ideas are not the only bodies present. What that means is that there are many combinations in how a moment can be present through many glances. And so galaxies were never apart, because regardless of how much of a spectrum man sees, what if there is one more world that is capturing it all? And so you see that the fractal nature of existence suggests that there is no difference, even though infinite differences can be seen. Reveal man's treasures, because his treasures belong to a self-awareness that is the conception of man. Appreciate the poet's madness. Learn not just from the ordered minds, but from the ordered minds look at the chaotic and also learn from their abstract movements. In other words, once you begin also learning non-linearly, an aspect of your mind is constantly creating relationships without meaning, but you are creating the bridge between the meaning. And so what that means is that when you naturally allow life to teach you by recognizing that the teaching is within the moment and your trust is within the moment, then the pilot of consciousness has become the navigator of the planes of existence, held by pillars of duality. So you, in a sense, the pilot of consciousness is a very able being in many dimensions, because he is aligning his awareness of possibility with the collective knowing of the simultaneous acknowledgement of reality, different realities and multiple different dimensions, let's say. I am using the word dimensions because I am an explorer in regards to an experiential message. What that means is that I can probably sit down and at some point I will probably analyze all our sciences. But right now, we need to move beyond words to receive an experience that is our inspiration to suddenly look at words anew. And so, when we recognize the existence that is aware of the word, we become a new sense of ability to redefine all our definitions in an instant, in a glimpse of passage beyond conceptions of space and time, because there is perhaps a reason you forget the time. Maybe it is due to the fact that how you know what time is significant to you in different ways. And time is also very significant when it fades, when it cannot remain. We look in the mirrors and we prepare ourselves for excitement. But our excitement needs to be in such a mindful way that we are aware that every moment of our being is very authentically our natural expression. In other words, begin designing a life where you do not need to worry about anything because you're an honest man in the sense that you are not lying to then see liars. And recognize that there's a beautiful inspiration in life. There's a beautiful inspiration in life, divine inspiration that, in a sense, once you allow and trust life, it navigates your consciousness to collective views where it can observe itself. And so this observance merely means that every human being is actually developing a unique string in reality, in the cloth that is, let's say, our planet, that is Gaia. And what that really means is that our greatest ability to see how fascinating we are as individuals comes from our ability to, in a selfless manner, know our collective being. And that knowing is, in a sense, a feeling that faith has become more of your intelligent communication with an awareness to an existential self beyond conceptualization. And so that is when many yogis and mystics will smile, and also in that beauty of being a lover of the unknown, your greatest tool in revealing any treasure, in any technology, and any aspect of knowing is a smile with a knowing of your heart of hearts. Reveal man's treasures. Much blessings and namaste.